Well, hello, good evening. Welcome to this webinar number three. We are today at 25th of June, and unfortunately, no one who was registered for this webinar could make it at the end of the day. So I'm recording this webinar just for all of you that you can follow it later on offline. Yeah, so offline, sorry. So well, the idea of this webinar, it was not much than just go through a little bit the contents of phase two, and especially to go a little bit in depth on the two activities that will take place during this couple next of weeks. That we will go through the activity number three and activity number four. Yeah. Probably today is not the best day because I don't know why, but I cannot share a screen with you. I don't know, Hangout doesn't allow us to do it today. So what I'm going to do is explain a little bit the different contents of this phase that you may find at campus. And therefore, meanwhile you listen to me in this recording, it would be good that you open the online campus and you go straight to phase number two, and this way it will be easier to follow up the my speech. Yeah. So first of all, I'm gonna well explain a little bit the contents that we have in this phase two, and then we will go through the the activities or the assignments number three and number four. Yeah. Just one important thing, it is that there is an activity related to a case study, WARC case study, World Reach Athletics Racket Club, and it is important to differentiate what the case study and the purpose of the case study that you may find at the theoretical resources, and at the same time what it is expected to be done at assignment number three. Yeah, so I will point out that later on, but just make sure that when you go through assignment number three, you understand what needs to be done, and obviously if there are any doubts before you go through the activity, just contact me via email, or we can arrange a specific webinar to go through that. Yeah. Okay, so as I said, if you have already the campus open and you go to phase two, you will find the theoretical resources. I have them in the other side of the screen. And here in theoretical resources, you have like four main areas. The first area, which is three voiceovers, which I consider are quite interesting to put in context the ideas of this phase two. Yeah. So as you will see, there are some specific elements. And the first one, analyzing the internal analysis of, or developing the internal analysis of a sports facility. And then on the slide or on voiceover number two, sorry, you may find the different elements of the management models. Yes. So probably there are some aspects that it kind of surprise you depending on where you live and the management models you may have in the place where you live. But it is interesting to see and to learn how these different management models may apply in different parts of the world. Yeah. Finally, there's a third voiceover, means vertical managing, which well, it's probably kind of an added reference because Mintzberg is one of the gurus in management when it comes to organizational structure and managing working teams in a facility. And I believe it's quite interesting to go through this voiceover, and quite also quite easy to follow up. Yeah. Okay. After this point one, which are the voiceovers, we move on to number two, which are the notes. Yes. And here you'll see four different notes, which are very different one from each other. Yeah. Before we have seen a voiceover related to internal analysis. Here, notes number two, it relates to an external analysis. Yeah. So you'll find that it complements the previous voiceover. Prior to that, we have another note, another document, very brief. They're all brief documents where it talks about management models. Yes, it is interesting to see that when we have a large stadium, or maybe when we have let's say a local sports hall, yeah, owned by public administration, by local authority, by a municipality. Hello, Dragomir, how are you?
Good evening. Hello.
Hello. I just started because I thought you couldn't make it. But it was only a few minutes ago. I'm recording it, so I was going through the contents of this phase two. Yeah. So since I cannot share the screen, I don't know why, but it doesn't work today at Hangout. What I was requesting you it is to open the campus on another window and to follow a little bit the different materials we have. Yes. So I have gone through the voiceovers, which is number one. There are three voiceovers that I consider quite interesting, but they are easy to follow when you listen and follow the different slides. And now I was going or explaining number two, which are the notes. Yeah. And here, what we can see is we have four documents. And I said that the external analysis, the second document, complements the internal analysis of the voiceover you have at the previous chapter. And then the first document, it is sorry,
Jordi, sorry. This is
phase two. Yes, phase two. And when you go to theoretical resources, at point number two, chapter number two, which are notes, you may find
I just want to it's about phase is phase two.
phase
I'm
two,
in
yes. Yeah, phase two. Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot share screen today.
One moment, George, because I'm in Düsseldorf and internet is very bad. George, no problem, because I seen all the messages that send Lucas, and I try to read all, but with possibilities that I have here in Germany, but in until 1st of July, I will be back in Moldova, and
okay, no problem.
So I open it.
No problem. You told me via email, I think. No problem. I mean, you have plenty of time to develop the activity. So only today, what my idea was to go through
If
these
you want,
resources.
I can call you. I can to call you by the phone. It will be.
Yeah, the point it is I'm recording the activity, this webinar, just for you to check it out, for you and your colleagues to check it out later on. So, can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay. So, if it's okay with you,
Yes,
I go
okay.
through the different notes, and once I finalize that, that's going to be in 10-15 minutes, maybe we can discuss a little bit if you have any questions. Is that okay? Okay. So
okay, Jordan.
Okay, so here at the, as I said, at the theoretical resources of this phase number 2, when we move on to chapter 2, which are the notes, we have 4 different documents. We have the management models, and these management models, it is quite interesting because you'll see that when we have a sports facility, whether it is a large stadium, professional large venue, or it is a local community sports hall, owned always by a municipality or by local authority, it is interesting to see that there are different management models that the public administration may use. Yeah, so we may find a local authority that decides to manage it directly, and maybe we can find some public-private partnerships that probably they are the most interesting alternative. And in this document, you can see the different models we can find. Yeah. Then we move on to, as I said, external analysis, which is the second document, and this complements the internal analysis of the previous chapter. And then we have 2 last documents. One, it is the factors that affect the viability. And here, as you will see, it is important when we analyze the viability or feasibility of a sports facility that we not only think on economic or financial feasibility, which is obviously sometimes the most important one, but also we take into account that there is a sports and the social feasibility. Yeah, when we talk about social feasibility, it means the impact of that sports facility in the community. So this means that maybe with that sports facility we may enhance the sports practice and therefore the quality of life of the inhabitants of that area, or maybe we can prevent some sort of other bad uses of leisure time amongst youth and so on. Yeah, so sometimes feasibility of a sports facility, it's not only related to economic and to money. Yeah, and also there is a sports feasibility, which is a feasibility related to the level of our sports clubs in our municipality, in our local authority, can develop and can improve according to the facilities they have. Yeah, so all these elements are important to be taken into account, whether if we are from the public side or even or also when we are at the private side. Yeah. And finally, we have the financing models for public sports facilities, which are a complement of the first document, which goes in detail in the different options that not only for managing but also for financing, for the investment part of the model, how private organizations, whether they are for profit or non for profit, they can support public administrations to finance different models of sports facilities. Yeah, this would be chapter number 2, and then we move on to chapter number 3, which are basically three different readings. In my opinion, the most interesting one, it is the first one, but it is specifically for clubs and associations and federations, sports federations, because it is related to non-for-profit sports halls. Yeah, so this document, I believe it's quite interesting, but anyway, these are readings that they are just to widen up a little bit the contents of this module. And finally, chapter number 4, we have a case study, which is a very complete and comprehensive and also a very long document, which is a feasibility study for Woodridge Athletic Recreation Center. That's an important thing here. You'll see very soon that when I talk about activity number 3, it is related to this case study. Yeah, but it is important here to separate this case study as a material that we have at the resources just to see an applied version of the contents that we have seen in this phase 2, and also at the same time what I am asking at the activity number 3, it is much more straightforward and very easy to develop. Yeah, we will see it now. So the thing is that I'm only using this case study as a kind of an excuse to develop activity number 3. Yeah, but by no means it needs to be read in depth and thoroughly to answer or to develop activity number 3, because it is a very long document. Yeah. So if we move back to the main page and we go to phase 2 and to see the different activities we have, we go to assignment number 3, which is titled Restructuring Youth Sports at Work at Woodridge Athletics Club. Yeah. So here, if we open this document, we can see that basically what we have here, it is a very brief document, a 2-page document. What I'm asking here, it is an individual activity, and what I'm asking is just you put on the shoes of being appointed as a general coordinator of this club, Woodridge Athletic Recreation Center or club, and you are in charge. You're going to be the general coordinator of youth sport. Yes, so you just start at this position, and the club manager calls you and asks you what you would do to improve or to enhance this youth sport in this club or in this center. Yeah, obviously you just arrived, so you have no information, but what you tell to the manager it is that you are going to develop a plan to answer the question he's making. Yeah, so in this sense, as it says in the case study, here you will have to answer very briefly, because I'm asking only for a couple of pages. What would you analyze? Who would participate in the process? Which would be the major sections to include in the final report? And finally, how much time do you think you will need to carry out all the proposed actions you suggest? Yeah. So these are the 4 questions to be answered in a couple of pages. And I insist, obviously you use the WAR case study as a base to answer that, but by no means you need to go through all the document in depth to answer this activity. Yeah, this would be activity number 3. It is an individual activity, I insist, and I believe it is quite straightforward. And then we have activity number 4, which is the first activity to be developed in groups. Yes, so the title of this activity is Relaunching San Miguel Health Center, and here, as I said at the kickoff webinar, it will be important to organize yourselves as in different groups. Yes, so we can find here 3 situations. One situation it is that maybe you decide to do it on your own individually because of work or because you're in a trip or whatever. So you just send me an email to me or to Lucas or to both, better, stating that you'd like to do this assignment number 4 individually. That would be option 1. Option 2 would be that a few of you, 3 or 4 of you, you just join together and decide to create a team. Yeah. Then one of you should send me an email to me or to Lucas or to both, explaining that this and this person are going to create a group. Yeah, that would be option number 2. And option number 3 would be that you say nothing in the next following days. If you say nothing, we understand that you don't mind being in a group because you have not said that you want to do it. You want to do it individually. So what we are going to do it is randomly to create different groups amongst you. Yeah. So it's going to be groups of 2 or 3 people, and you'll have to develop assignment number 4 and later on assignment number 6 in the groups that they have been set in these coming days. Yeah. So we'll wait for a few days, probably until the end of the week. And as soon as we have seen who wants to do it individually and which groups have been created, we will end up creating the rest of the teams. Yeah. What needs to be done in this activity number 4? I believe it is quite straightforward as well. It is not very difficult. You'll see that you have a document, 6 pages long, which is a case study based on a real experience that I had as a consultant in a sports facility managed by a private company, where let's say that the objectives didn't were not met by the previous general manager, so he was sacked, and a new general manager entered to occupy the position. Yeah, and this new manager called Anna will need to develop a different list of tasks. Yes, that they are very clearly stated at page number 5 of the document. Yeah. So the first thing it needs to be done, it is to develop a diagnosis based on an internal and external analysis. Yeah. It is similar to the previous activity. In both, what I'm asking it is to implement or to adapt the theory of general strategic or operational planning to a sports facility. Yeah. So any planning process, as you all know, it has an analysis phase, and then a diagnostic phase, and finally a proposal phase or stage. Yes. So here, the Anna, or this new general manager, will need to develop this diagnosis based, I insist, on internal and external analysis, based on the previous pages that you will have a lot of information. And then on the second task, she will, or you will need to develop an action plan based on 2 or 3 levels. Yeah, the first level, that's going to be in a different strategic lines. Level 2, which are the different programs to be developed, and finally these programs end up in specific actions. Yes, and to make sure that these actions are specific enough and very concrete, in the part 3 of this activity, what needs to be done, it is to implement or to state the impact of these actions into the profit and loss account expectations that we had for 2017, 2019, 2018 and 2019. Yeah, for the years 17, 18, 19. You already have the profit and loss account of years 2015 and 2016, and you'll have to, let's say, fill all the numbers for these 3 coming years. For all the actions that you suggest some, let's say, impact on whether it is on income or in expenses, you obviously will have to, let's say, estimate the impact in terms of numbers. Obviously, that's going to be an estimation. I understand that. And all those income elements or items or expenses items that you do not suggest anything, you just leave the same number of 2016, so the previous year. Yeah, with the idea that at the end of the day, you have a profit and loss final result, whether it is a profit or it is a deficit and or losses, to see this action plan that you have suggested for the 3 coming years, which is the expected profitability it will have. Yeah, and obviously this would go to the general, to the owners of the company, and we would see if these owners would approve or not this suggesting this action plan that you have suggested as the new general manager of the facility. Yeah. This would be activity number 3. Activity number 4. Obviously, you need to read the document before going into action and stating the activities to be done. So I understand that once you have done that, if you, Dragomir, or anyone who may listen to this webinar later on, if you have any questions or any doubts, kindly contact me, and or even we can arrange a specific individual webinar to go through that. Anyway, we will obviously set up a new webinar probably by the end of next week, and therefore at that moment we can also discuss a little bit any doubts you may have on this activity number 3 and activities number 4. But for previous experiences, I would believe that you will not have too much trouble to go through that. I don't know, Dragomir, if you have any questions or anything you would like to clarify.
I understood all. I'm today a little bit tired because I arrived from Ljubljana by car to Düsseldorf, and I'm very tired, but I understood all. It's a very interesting task for me. I will read and try to make all the task tomorrow after 5 p.m. And this is what I want to do, because I want to put in Moldova to install one air bubble like indoor facility, and to organize sport events for my futsal club, and to combine futsal with volleyball because of attractiveness of sport. And this is my sole project what I want to do in Moldova, and this is why I started this sport facility management, to understand better how to do it, to not make many faults.
Great. Great. So first of all, I appreciate that after a long trip by car, you are here. So thank you for that. And obviously, apart from the content and the activities, I insist that you have these two next weeks, this week and the coming week, to go through the activities. So make sure that if you have any doubts, you just ask me before you go through, just to make sure you go through the correct line. I will be off for a couple of days because I have a long trip. So probably if you write me tomorrow or Thursday, I won't answer you. But I will be back online on Friday. So I'll get in touch back to you if you have any questions. Yeah.
Mhm.
And apart from the activities, if you have any doubts or anything in your real project in Moldova, just make sure you contact me via email or in a specific private webinar, and if I can help you out in anything that it is related to the management, facility management, I'm more than happy to try to help you out. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Jordi. In Moldova, it's a little bit difficult because ownership of the land is public, and it's but I invest my money in this air bubble. It's one used, but I want to make from used a smart and a green air bubble. I want to change the energy into with solar energy to be more economical, to put some I want to put inside 1000 seats for spectators, and to make economical, suitable air bubble, and because it's a lack of sports facility in Moldova, just one under UEFA standards. And why I want to do it, because I want to set up first futsal academy in Moldova, and I have a lot of plans with this air bubble, but it's very hard to get the land from the local authorities.
Definitely.
This is
Definitely.
the main task, but I hope I will manage. This project has 3 years, and I was now in Ljubljana. You know, maybe this company Duol.
Yes.
They
They have also indoor ice rinks, isn't it?
Yes. They produce air bubbles, and they had on stock used that I bought, and I want to install it in Moldova.
It's a great initiative, and if you have managed to get the land, the public land, I'm sure it will be probably a successful project. So that's a great initiative.
Thank you, Jordan. This what I can to do in Moldova in sport something, because until now the club was in just a black hole of where I spent the money. Not big money, but for Moldova are big. And but when you have a facility, you can to earn from events, and to organize and to plan very great events. And because futsal and volleyball is a very attractive sport. It's not like football, you know, it's almost boring games.
Definitely.
Not every
Okay,
game.
well, that's great. So Well, make sure you go through the activities when you have time. There's no rush, obviously. And as again, as I insist, you have any trouble or any doubts, obviously each country has its own rules. But here, as a consultant, we work a lot with private owners that they develop what we call it public-private partnerships. So they deal with the public sector, and sometimes they invest partially or even totally the facility on a public land, and they have this facility for 50 years or for 40 years to be managed, and then at the end of these 40, 50 years it comes back to the municipality, but obviously everything has been already being used for so many years. Yeah. So, well, anything you need, you know where I am, and for the specific academic activities, I insist, just take your time, because it is good to enjoy them and to make sure that you feel good when you develop them, because they are very applied case studies. Yeah.
Okay, Jordan, thank you.
All right. So thanks for being here, and we'll keep in touch, Dragomir.
Keep in touch. Bye bye.
Bye bye.